Sean. Hey, RadCast is on.
And welcome to the show, Mr. Jim Zumbo.
Gentlemen, I am pleased to be here, and I use that term loosely when I say gentlemen.
Al Linder. Just want to welcome you to the show. Thanks for taking time out of your busy schedule to hang out with us on a podcast for a little bit.
Hey, I'm looking forward to it. There's nothing makes me happier than a cold in Minnesota. If I can't be out fishing, I should be talking about fishing.
Hailing from Wisconsin, Jana Waller.
Thank you so much for having me.
It's RadCast. Hunting, fishing, and everything in between. Powered by Bow Spider.
Brought to you by PK Lures and High Mountain Seasonings.
And now, here's your hosts, Patrick Edwards and David Merrill.
All right, welcome to another episode of RadCast Outdoors. I'm one of your hosts, Patrick Edwards, and I think we have David here with us. David, are you there?
I'm here.
All right. So today, we're going to have some guests on that we've had on before. The last time we all hung out together, we had Mr. Jim Shockey on with us, which was fun. But I have Blake Fegler and Rowdy Anderson with me from the Muley Fanatic 10 chapter here in Fremont County. So welcome, fellas.
Thanks, guys.
It's another year, and you got another banquet that you're planning, and I know it's a lot of stress and it's a lot of work. But why don't you guys tell us what we can expect out of this year's County 10 Muley Fanatic Foundation dinner and fundraiser?
All right. So we got a heck of a night planned. It's going to be March 16th. It's going to be at the Lander Community Center. We've had it there for the past several years. Good place to have an event. Super nice facility. And it's going to be good. We've got a special guest coming this year, Cody Robbins from the hit TV show Live to Hunt. He's going to come down, and along with that, he's going to bring some of his fine Canadian trophies, world record type stuff, for people to look at and put their hands on. He'll be there just like Jim was last year. People will have the opportunity to get to visit with him, ask him questions throughout the night. We've got a heck of a selection of firearms. We've got bows. We've got lots of one-of-a-kind items for people to have an opportunity to purchase there that night. Yeah, it's going to be an exquisite evening. Like we always say, we're trying to offer up for the evening, an evening people won't forget, more of an experience than just a banquet. So that's what I've got for that. Whatever you think you should add to that, Blake.
Yeah, I think everybody that came last year, I think really enjoyed it. And I think good as it was, I think we had some things that we can definitely improve on. So any little hiccups we might have had last year, we've got all cleaned up. So it should be even better.
Yeah, and with them hiccups, I know last year there was a little bit of complaints about the line getting in the door. We've fixed that now. When you buy your ticket, you'll be issued a QR code. And as long as all your information's filled out there, when you get to the door, we'll have some people out there scanning your QR code. They'll scan it and boom, you're right in the door. So we should cut the time standing outside immensely.
For people to sign up for the event, where do they go to get that information and just see what all's available?
So we should have had this ready. If you go to the website you're going to want to go to is 2024 10, the letters CNTRYBANQ.givesmart.com. Okay. And if you go to there, it will take you to a portal where you can go buy all your tickets and everything that we have available at this time. You can purchase right there.
Perfect. So what's the food going to be like? Because everybody always wants to know, hey, if I'm coming to this thing, what kind of food am I going to get?
That's Blake's department there.
Once again, we went with our buddy James Bunker. Bunk's Barbecue will be there again doing dinner. And I think we changed a little bit from what we did last year with him. And I think same thing, we'll be even better than last year. So
that's awesome. Bunk's Barbecue is delicious. So I'm looking forward to that. And what's the cost per person to attend this event?
So if you buy a singles ticket, we've got the singles tickets right now. They're $150. And then we have two different table options. We've got a VIP table option that's seating for 8. Obviously, the best seat in the house, come with some special gifts and swag. Those are $2,000. And then we have our reserve seating for 8, which also come with some little special goodies on your table. And those are $1,500.
Good deal.
And guys, this is something here on the podcast, Patrick and I always talk about: conservation, North American conservation model, giving back. And I know this is your guys' one fundraiser for the year, but explain a little bit of what you guys do the rest of the year besides working your tails off to put this evening on?
Yeah, we meet every month, sometimes multiple times per month. But yeah, once we host these banquets and the smoke clears and we see what kind of money to spend, we go to project allocation, which is usually a month or two where we take in projects from the Fremont County and around the state. We run them through our committee, and then we choose them and we start granting dollars and cents here and there. But we're always doing something. It seems every month, every couple of weeks, we have something going on. Last year, just to name a few things, we started a scholarship program, which will be the eligibility will be for students from Fremont County. We'll award 2 of those. That started already. We did a Sinks Canyon cheatgrass project. We funded that. That project actually won't take place until summer of 2024. We went ahead and funded that. We put up some outdoor boards in our local middle schools where kids can go in and hang up like a bragging board at the hunting store. It's really cool. We thought that maybe give kids a chance to have something to talk about other than playing video games, and that's been a big success. We still do the Putting the U and hunt. Last year, we facilitated 3 of those. We did a hunt in the Saratoga encampment area, in the DuBois area, and then Red Desert elk hunt. We're doing funding to the US 26 crossing still. It sounds like that's taken top priority now, so hopefully we can get that done soon. We're working on a potential partnership on a large-scale CWD research project, which would be done here locally in Fremont County. We just recently finished up our Mule Deer Summit, which we were taking public input, trying to put some proposals together to go to the Game and Fish Commission with, to let them know what the wants and needs of people here in Fremont County are on the mule deer. And then I guess one last thing we did last year was we funded the grand prize for the big bull contest here in Riverfin for the youth category. So I think we've been pretty busy. What do you think, Blake?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think you really missed anything. And the biggest thing is that we're actually turning around and spending people's money in Fremont County back here in Fremont County. I think that's the biggest thing to reiterate on, is that your dollars are being spent in your backyard.
What's the number one priority for you guys going into this next year? Obviously, the crossing up around DuBois is a big deal, but what are the top priorities of your organization in the county?
I think that some of the top priorities that we see, especially after we had our input meeting the other night, people are very concerned about CWD. I think we need to take a different approach on that. People want to be way more educated. They want up to the minute details on what's going on. I think that's going to take over. But that's the beauty of what we do. Like Blake said, we're spending money in our own backyards, and we're doing projects that people find merit in. Habitat projects is always a good one, and research. We asked that question the other night to the people that came out to the meeting, and there's a lot of people that still would like to see us doing some research projects.
Yeah, talk a little bit about the cheatgrass thing, because some listeners may be like, what the heck is cheatgrass, for one thing? But explain about cheatgrass, why it's important for us to remove cheatgrass from the landscape, and what you guys do in that project.
Gotcha. You want to take that one, Blake?
Oh, yeah. You look at how the landscape's changed over the last 100 years or even 50 years. Cheatgrass is one of those things that has really taken over, and it's a negative effect on the landscape just due to the poor quality of forage for the animals. It likes to choke out any competition as well. It's getting rid of the good forage, the native grasses. It's a non-native grass that's taking over, and it really doesn't provide any benefits to the landscape at all, from wildlife or even livestock producers, really any benefit at all. And up to now, there's not really been a whole lot of solutions as far as how to get rid of it and how to mitigate it. So that's some of the things that they've started doing: aerial spraying and trying to get a hold on it before it gets even worse, because it is definitely a big problem right now.
Yeah, and it's, for those of you who may be still wondering what it is, it's the kind of grass that if you walk through it and you have tennis shoes on or socks that are exposed, the seeds of it get stuck in your. The other thing about it is it's an annual grass, so it grows back by seeding, and it does a really good job of that. And that's why it outcompetes other grasses, is that it'll sprout sometimes even in the fall. Like the seeds will fall, you'll see a little green carpet start to appear where it was at, And then by the time spring rolls around, it just shoots up and it takes over the area. But I know it's been a concern not only in Sinks Canyon, but around the Whiskey Mountain area and other places like that, because the Bighorn Sheep Foundation's been dealing with it too. And I think everybody across the West is trying to figure out cheatgrass. Talk about some of the other projects too, because it's always good for people to know how they can get involved, because I'm sure you're always looking for volunteers to come and help as well.
We're always looking for volunteers, and we do a pretty good job of making sure everybody knows when our meetings are. We've been hosting our meetings on, is it the second Thursday night of the month, second Wednesday night of the month? We changed that around a little bit, but if you watch our Facebook page and our social media outlets, like I say, we do a good job of informing people on when we're going to be having meetings, what's going to be going on at the meetings, what it's about. Yeah, and like back to the project things, we're always looking for good projects. Sometimes we get a lot of project proposals, and maybe they're not maybe they don't fit what we're looking for at that time. But yeah, projects.
So guys, what does mule deer mean to you? That's a question. Truly, I love conservation. I love these organizations, and I think everybody needs to get involved in their communities with their grassroots local organization, right? And this one's right in our backyard. I've been supporting you guys and been coming for years, but I want to know, what do mule deer mean to both Blake and Rowdy?
Mule deer to me, I've been a mule deer enthusiast since I was a small child. And let's be honest, for me, it started with big bucks. What's cooler than a big buck mule deer? And 45 years later, I still love it. It has shaped the person I am. It dictates what I do throughout the entire year. I can already tell you that I have my calendars already full from September through November with things based solely around mule deer. And for me, like you talked about conservation, I've been a taker of the resource for a long time and have been able to enjoy that resource for a long time. For me, it's a no-brainer becoming part of this organization because I wanted to give something back. I have 3 kids. I want them to enjoy the same type of opportunities that I had growing up. So yeah, mule deer, it's made me who I am today. And I think that's a pretty honest statement on my behalf.
Yeah, not to beat a dead horse, but mule deer in their own way are very unique, and they're not like any other deer species, and they're not like hunting elk at all. I think mule deer is by far my favorite thing to hunt, and as Rowdy said it probably best, as far as mule deer hunters, we spend a lot of time and thought and effort into harvesting a mule deer, and this gives us a great resource and a way to try to make sure that they're still on the landscape in 50, 100 years. We've already seen a huge decline in just, you can say, 5 years, not only hunting, but just total overall numbers period, that things don't look like they used to. So the best time to start is now.
So on the numbers, how are things looking 2024? What's the outlook?
I guess speaking from a non-scientific, non-biologist standpoint, you guys, you do the same thing we do. We have these conversations every day, and when you talk to just about everybody, I don't think anybody has a really good outlook on mule deer, especially after what happened last winter. Our deer numbers are in the tank. Just looking around here in our backyard looks like Area 157 with not only did we have a bad winter last year, but the CWD. This thing's real. And where does it end? I don't think any of us know. It's scary. We have these conversations all the time, and I'm almost scared to think that maybe someday that being able to hunt a mule deer is going to be like hunting a sheep or a moose is now. It's going to be extremely hard to get tags, and you're not going to get to go yourself with your own tag very much. And we talk a lot about hunting, but it's just sad not seeing the deer on the landscape. I think we all enjoy seeing deer, period, whether we're hunting them or not. But no, it's scary. I haven't talked to one person that has said anything different anywhere in the state.
How about you, Blake? What's your outlook?
Yeah, right here locally, speaking on the CWD fact, numbers were extremely down as far as harvest rates go. We had a good conversation with Lisa Robinette at Waikota Meat Processing. She told us that she butchered less than 10 mule deer all year last year, and 0 came out of 157 right here in our backyard. That's obviously very concerning. And then looking at CWD test rates upwards to 90% of deer tested in 157 were positive. That alone is extremely alarming, and it's something that hopefully we can get a handle on, but it doesn't look pretty at the moment.
Yeah, a lot of people I've talked to say that 2023 was the perfect storm because you have CWD and then you have the worst winter we've ever had, and mule deer just didn't fare too well. And so it's a huge concern, and there's a lot of us that grew up mule deer hunting here in Wyoming, including myself, and I'm really sad to see that everything's plummeted, especially now that my kids are getting to that hunting age. And I was lucky enough to see my daughter harvest an elk this year, but like mule deer, it's pretty bleak. But that's why the work that you guys are doing is so important, and that's why it's so important as sportsmen. If we really care about that resource, to get involved and attend these banquets and do these fundraisers, because the money doesn't just come out of thin air. And that's why it's so critical for people to show up and step up and help out with this. And as far as like deadlines and things like that, like when do people need to be signed up? Ideally, what for you guys as organizers, how can we help you as far as getting signed up in a timely manner and having everything ready to go?
Last year, we were sold out the first week of March, which that helps us out a bunch. We can let our caterer know what we're looking at. We know exactly what we need to have set up in the building that night to give everybody the best experience possible. But I would say hesitate to get your tickets. Tickets are selling. We just looked at ticket sales this morning and things are going well. I would venture to say that by mid-February, end of February, we'll be sold out and back to where we were last year with just people calling every day wanting tickets to the banquet. They're in the month of March and we don't have them available. So if you plan on going or you want to go, I would get my tickets sooner than later.
Good deal. I will be in Florida, so I won't be there, but I'm sure David's probably trying to figure out how to attend. David, are you going to be able to go this year?
I've got to sit down with the scheduling boss and make sure, but as long as my schedule's open, I plan to come every year. And it's a great event. It's been a good time. I've been coming for, I think my first one was 15, 14. It's just it's a good night. It's a good time to get together and talk about conservation and put some boots on the ground work and help support some guys that are actually out there, whether it's deer crossing, whether it's fence projects, whether it's youth hunts, and collecting this data. One of the data points I want to talk on, though, is I did go over to one of Wyoming's premier units last year and hunted 12 days straight, trying to break that 200-inch. Blake and I have talked about this a little bit, right? There was no deer there, guys. There was 0 deer there. And by 0, I typically, in a 5-day hunt, see 110, 120 bucks, and we're spending a lot of time glassing, judging. We saw 12 bucks in 12 days. So I'm not going back. I'm just not going to go back that premium year for a couple of years till I hear that, oh yeah, they're bouncing back. And is now the right time to start looking at suspending some doe hunts, maybe going to, a different style tag allocation? But I don't think it's pure hunter pressure. The winter wasn't hunter pressure. CWD isn't hunter pressure. But how can we give these mule deer a boost? Can we reduce some predators? Can we think outside of the box, habitat, feed, predators? It's all plays a key. Vehicle mortalities. It used to be, you guys know, driving from our warehouse into Riverton, there was always a vehicular mortality on the side of the road around Kinnear, around Pavilion, around Crowheart, always a fresh one on the side of the road. And it's not that way anymore because we don't have the deer anymore. So it's time to start having some of these conversations deeper about how do we protect, honestly, one of my favorite species by far.
Yeah, and I think that's the beauty of the meeting that we held the other night. A lot of these conversations came up. People got to be more involved. We've been in the mindset forever that nothing's going to change. They've already got their minds made up. But I don't believe that. I know Blake don't believe that. I just think it's time that people band together. We band together as a group. I know we have all these subgroups, and we find ourselves fighting amongst one another. But as hunters, as mule deer enthusiasts, we all have to come together we all have the same goal. We want to see more deer on the landscape. And what is that going to take?
What's your thoughts, Blake?
Yeah, we brought up some interesting topics, and we all Rowdy's mentioned this public meeting that we've had, and all of those topics that you brought up has come as far as, is general tags a good thing? Do we need to move to limited quota? Do we need more research? Is it predators? Is it highway fatality? We had probably a list of 10 to 15 problems and maybe 4 to 5 solutions to these problems come up, and that we're very adamant at these meetings after we broke into kind of subcommittees, and we had more private, in-depth conversations. And it's difficult to say what's the clear-cut solution, obviously, but the things that we control, highway fatalities, the Kemmer project, highway crossing project got funded, so that's a great win for Mule there in that part of the world. And like Rowdy said, the Highway 20 789, that is next on the radar for being most important to get funded. So that's those two things right there are going to save a lot of deer. I just wish we would have started funding these 50 years ago rather than 10 years ago. We'd be so much farther ahead just because they're $19-20 million projects. That's not money you come up with overnight or even in 2 years. And then winter mortality obviously took a huge hit, and I respect Game and Fish for doing a lot of research as far as, is feeding deer the right thing to do or not the right thing to do, different things like that, because everybody has an opinion and a solution, but have they done the scientific research to see if it's actually something plausible that will actually make a difference? And I think Game and Fish is doing a good job at actually coming up with a lot of those solutions, and we like to fund research projects that's not just with Game and Fish and go outside of that and work with some other people as well. So I think that's the best thing we can do in what seems to be pretty bleak as far as what can we do.
Yeah, we just can't throw our hands in the air. I think that would be pretty simple at this point, to just throw your hands in there and say, well, mule deer, for all lack of better terms, are just in the tank. But we can make this work. It's been done hundreds of years ago without all the technology that we have at our fingertips today. Man-made animals come back and flourish, and we can look at many different cases. And not only do we have that history, but we have technology. We can make this work. It's just going to take people banding together with one common goal and leaving behind their own personal goals at the end.
I think it's great that you guys are on the forefront. You're the tip of the spear getting the work done, right? And you're actively out there taking your personal time and investing it in mule deer, in this organization that helps mule deer. So again, I think it's great what you guys are doing. Hopefully we can get a bunch of people to show up and help. But one of the things I wanted to ask you about is, we had the fundraiser last year, and I think it was a big success. But can you talk about, how that went, and then the things that happened since then? Because I saw you had some youth hunts and different stories with that. But can you recap some of the things that came out of the event last year, the fundraiser last year, and Jim Shockey coming?
Yeah, why don't you take that one, Blake?
Oh, boy. Money-wise, I think we did extremely well. Just in our live auction alone, I think we grossed $90,000. A big portion of that was for the Wyoming Predator Board. Over $30,000 went to that. They sold a commissioner tag at our banquet, and that money obviously goes to the Predator Board, which in turn helps eliminate the predator issues, not only for the livestock people, but for mule deer, which I think is a big problem that we're facing right now, as far as mountain lions and black bears in certain parts of the world that are really taking a huge hit on mule deer and other wildlife as well. The biggest things we did this year was we sat down as a big committee and we looked at our bank account and said, what is the best bang for our buck? And we got a lot of projects that were allocated to us that we did not fund, just for the point of, we looked at them and said, I don't think this is worth our money, as far as it's not going to have the biggest, greatest impact for mule deer right now, or maybe not even in the long term. So that probably sounds bad that we didn't fund projects, but the point was we wanted to treat this money like it was our own, and we wanted to use it the best way possible that we could. So a lot of the money we still have in the bank right now, and we hope to expand on that and make a bigger impact with it. Like Rowdy said earlier, though, we did fund some projects like the cheatgrass project. We did do some good things with that money, but I think the most important thing we did with it was we didn't waste it.
We're not, and I've said this 100 times, we're not the government. We're not just going to spend money or put timelines on when we need to spend the money. Blake said, if it isn't the right fit or the right project, we'll hold on to the money until that comes along. I mean, other good things that we've done over the course of the year, this committee has grown from literally 5-6 people to now 30 plus people. We have a very active chapter. Everybody takes it very serious. Everybody's very in tune with the goals. It's been an amazing past year and a half. You hit on it. We've been able to fund 3 putting the U in hunt for kids with life-threatening illnesses. Those are amazing. Not only is that an amazing experience for the kids that get to come out and partake in them, but it's an amazing experience for us that get to go along. And we're getting a lot of youth initiatives started with this chapter. I think you hit on it, or I think earlier, or maybe in a question that you guys asked on your questionnaire. But yeah, if we don't recruit kids into this sport, it will die. And I think we're trying to take a very active role in recruiting youth to not only hunting, but just enjoying wild things and the outdoors.
Yeah, I think each generation has that kind of task of getting the next generation involved. So we're at that point, all 4 of us. It's like, what are we doing to help get the next round of kids involved and actively involved in not only just the hunting aspect, but the conservation aspect and the stewardship. And so I think that's what's really great about your organization is it offers opportunities for people to get involved and be active stewards of that resource. Because a lot of times people are just like, hey, I can just put money in the hat to help support this. But what you guys have that's a little bit different is, yeah, do that. But also, hey, why don't you come help us with this project? We need boots on the ground. We need people out there helping get these things done. Otherwise, they don't happen. Just like stuff that I'm interested in is like fish habitat projects, pond cleanups, river cleanups, those kind of things. They don't happen by themselves. There's got to be somebody down there doing it. And that's what's really awesome about what you guys are doing. And so I'm pretty stoked about it. I think, yeah, it is a bleak outlook, but we have people that care. And to your point, Rowdy, hundreds of years ago, what did people do? They said, we don't have enough forage in these areas for the animals. So let's, get rid of some of this forest and burn it down, and the grass grows. And guess what? The animals come back. There's things that, to your point, we can do. We have a lot more technology now. We have a lot more research. We have people that are actively paid to do this full time with the Game and Fish and Wildlife. University of Wyoming has researchers that are working on it actively now. And so how do we pool all those people together to get something done to save these animals? And you guys, again, like I said, I congratulate you because you are the tip of the spear, because you're the people that are on the ground doing this, living this every day. I think hunters don't get enough credit for the stewardship and the conservation that we do, because really without us, it doesn't happen at all because nobody's funded.
And nobody cares.
Yep.
Yeah, hunters are a very compassionate group of people, no matter what anybody says or thinks.
Yep.
I love what we do. The funding aspect of this deal is, like Blake said, you come to our banquet and guess what? Them dollars that you spend at that banquet, they're going to get spent right here. And if they're not spent right here in Fremont County, they're going to get spent somewhere in Wyoming. So it's an amazing funding model. We're super proud of how that works. The people that do all the hard work and put all the effort into making this happen have a say in how that's money spent, or say how that money is spent. And like Blake said, at that point, it almost becomes like it's your own money, and you don't want to waste it away on just frivolous things. So I think we've done a very good job of taking care of the bank account. We don't fund anything that we don't fully all agree on. And at the end of the day, we're going to do great things here.
I agree. Is there anything else you guys want to cover or tell folks about what you're doing or how they can be involved?
Like I say, keep an eye on all our social media outlets. We're very good at letting people know when we're going to be having meetings, when we're going to be hosting things like the Mule Deer Summit. Like you said, if we need boots on the ground for projects, we'll let people know. But yeah, if you're interested in making a difference, here in and around Fremont County with mule deer and, like I said, for all intents and purposes, other wildlife. Come and join our team. It's a great team. And at the end of the day, you'll be proud to be part of it.
So my 2 cents to add for anybody listening out there who's new to the conservation model, new to organizations like this, is what's really cool is the lion's share of the money you guys raise goes right back into conservation. You guys aren't employed making a living doing this. This is all holistically for the benefit of mule deer. And if you're out there thinking about an organization to donate to, certainly this is a great one. By far, your dollars are going to go the farthest. Picking an organization who does all the things you guys, all your outreach programs. And as I think about it, Wyoming has mineral natural gas, we have farming, ranching, and then we have tourism as our economies. And, people are coming to Wyoming to see our natural resources and the beauty, but also the wildlife. And so without the wildlife, we don't have the tourism that we have, and we need to keep it. We need to do everything we can, whether that's have these discussions about where to put high fence, road crossing, have the discussion about where to remove predators, have the discussion about noxious weed removal. I think having the debate and the discussion, being open-minded and doing that is beneficial. But if you're wondering why you should or shouldn't donate to any organization, look at the financial structure. And a lot of these that out there are claiming to be holistic and for the benefit of wildlife, the majority of their money is going to line somebody's pocket. If instead of donating to one of those, pick these guys.
Yep, second that, because donating to a local organization is also a lot better, because I can go and see Rowdy or Blake and actively talk to them face to face about where the money is going and have that conversation. So that's a big deal.
Yeah,
we're very transparent.
Yeah, not only are we right here, and we do this strictly volunteer, but we also have a great friendship and relationship with the guys at headquarters. We can text them 7 days a week if we have any questions or concerns. And there's not many organizations that are like that, as far as people within chapters of a main organization can talk to the CEO or the CFO really anytime, let alone 7 days a week. So we're pretty privileged at that aspect to have a great relationship with headquarters, and they're right here in Wyoming. And if we need anything, they're more than willing to help, and they're great people.
Very cool. Guys, it's always a privilege to have you guys on. I admire both of you. You're doing great work. Thank you for taking the time to be on here. We'll get this out in the next few weeks and hopefully get you a full banquet and get a bunch of money raised. Yeah, thanks again for coming on the RadCast Outdoors podcast. We always love having you.
All right. Thanks a bunch, guys.
Yep.
Appreciate it.
You guys have a good one. Stay warm out there.
All right. We'll talk to you later.
All right. See you guys. Thanks again for listening to the RadCast Outdoors podcast. We hope that you've enjoyed the show. If so, please go to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Carbon TV, YouTube, or wherever you're listening to this podcast and subscribe, share, and give us a 5-star rating, which helps other people find the show. You can find all of our shows, recipes, giveaways, videos, and much more at radcastoutdoors.com. Please don't forget to follow us on Facebook and Instagram. We also have a RadCast community on Facebook called RadCast Nation. We'd love for you to join in the conversation there. And of course, please help support our sponsors who make this show possible. Thanks again to PK Lures, Bow Spider, and High Mountain Seasonings. Until next time, get out there and enjoy the outdoors.